Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to start talking about a property at the Tides at Primrose Road, which is a new build development at a Beyond Housing complex. So this property at the Tides, it's super energy efficient, it's really well insulated, and it's got renewable appliances such as a heat pump, low temperature panel heaters, and a really efficient ventilation system. In this cupboard here, around the lounge kitchen area, is where we can find a few of our renewable appliances. If we open the doors here, it's almost like a plant room really. Right here is the air source heat pump that provides hot water for your hot water outlets such as your tap and your shower, etc. So this heat pump is really efficient in terms of carbon emissions. You may be used to gas boilers or other forms of electric heating. This basically, you've got two ducts here, in and out, and it's got a fan inside there that basically the air pulls through, goes to the heat exchanger and warms the cylinder up to deliver hot water. One thing to know about the heat pump for hot water is that because it's renewable, it doesn't heat up straight away. The idea of these heat pumps is to have it on continuously at a good temperature. If we've got a temperature of 60 degrees, for example, that will cost a lot of money because it can only go up to 50 degrees generally. Anything above will cost extra electricity from your meter. So the idea is leave it at 50 degrees continuously. And as well, you've got to confirm that we've got using hot water in the morning to shower, to bathe. We're running hot water outlets when we're washing up, etc. We must remember that when we're using hot water, we've got to allow the heat pump time to recover and heat the complete cylinder up at the same time. What you'll also find is when it's heating it up and you're running hot water, cold water is filling the heat pump back up again. So it's got to recover that temperature loss. So it's really important, key factor, leave it on permanently and leave it around 50 degrees on the control setting. So this is the control panel. When you move into the property, generally we'll ensure that a heating engineer comes and makes sure it's all set up for you. As I explained before, leave it on a constant temperature on all the time is the perfect solution, and that temperature needs to be 50 degrees or slightly less if you wish, but the heating engineer will be able to have a conversation, understand what fits best for you. There's also on this here, this is your temperature up and down, this dial here, the minus and plus. But when you go into the menu section, you can adjust it to go to boost or electric mode. Now boost is in case you run out of hot water. If you shower in very regularly and you run out of hot water, you can put it on boost. However, if you're doing it quite regularly, it will cost you money because it's using a lot of electricity to heat the cylinder back up or part heat the cylinder at the same time. Once a week, this cylinder, because we're only going at 50 degrees, or that's our target temperature, once a week it'll go for what you call a Legionella cycle to ensure that any bacteria, because it's stored water, is mitigated and killed off. So that does happen periodically in a cycle that's already built into the program itself. So really easy, to be honest with you. We'll leave it on constant, we'll leave it around the sort of 50 mark. The engineer will set everything up to you as you wish, and we can just leave it alone, let it do its own thing. One thing you must remember is not to turn the heat pump on and off. Leave it continuously as set around the 50 degree mark and let the heat pump heat the water up continuously. And we must remember it's not going to heat it up very quickly, but doing so means that you're maximising efficiency. As explained previously, this property or this home is really well insulated, with it being a new build development. They call this passive house, with the government making sure new homes need to be more energy efficient. Ventilation is absolutely key to make sure this home can breathe and bring fresh air in and ventilate the area, and obviously the condensation out of the property at the same time. This mitigates damp and mould risk. So as we can see here, we've got a big ventilation unit known as an MVHR, and the MVHR stands for Mechanical Ventilation Heat Recovery. This unit here has 4 ducts on it. It takes the air from outside into the property and also from the rooms to ventilate outside again. So it's recirculating air at all times. Now, you've got some controls here, but these must not be tampered with. These have been set up and commissioned that all the air vents and the speeds are running exactly how they should be to mitigate damp and mould. So we have some switches here. This is the main power supply. That must remain on at all times so the unit can continuously run when required. This one here is the fan controller for summer and winter. Quite straightforward, it's just switch down for summer, switch on for winter. Reason being, in summer, obviously it is warmer outside, so it won't heat up the heating element. In winter, it will heat the heating element, so we're not bringing cold air into the home to make sure it's nice and warm. So these controls are absolutely key to make sure when we're in summer, we'll leave it on summer mode. When we get to the winter days, we leave it on winter if you wish. Otherwise, the house can be a little bit colder. One other key thing to remember is that every year, every 12 months, when the heating engineers come and do the landlord detector checks, they'll replace these filters. So inside this rubber gasket here, there's some filters that will be replaced every year. Because we're bringing air in and through the property and out again, these filters collect any dust particles and condensation. So when the engineer comes and does a detector check, these filters will be changed periodically to make sure it's running efficiently. In each room of this property, we have a series of vents on the ceiling. Now these vents are absolutely paramount because they blow air from outside and recirculate through the heat recovery system, but also they take moisture as well when we're cooking and bathing. The vent can typically be seen on the ceiling here, and it's preset, so we must not adjust that, because if we adjust it, it alters the airflow, which again can cause damp and mould issues. But the reason why it's there is because it's really, really well insulated, and this allows the property to breathe. As you can see here, this is the bathroom area, and we've got a switch on this wall adjacent to the bathroom. On the switch, we've got a fan boost button. So it's really, really important that we're showering or bathing, we turn the fan on whilst we're doing so. And that allows all the condensation from the heat, the hot water, to evaporate, and the fan will take that and extract it to outside. Again, if we don't do so, we're going to get a lot of condensation on the walls, which can again lead to damp and mould risk. So it's really important to remember to use the switch. And once we've finished bathing and showering, I would leave it a little while longer and turn the switch off. But also on every single extractor fan, it's gone a permanent trickle mode. So it constantly spins and allows condensation to go through. But turning that fan boost on is really, really important because it allows it to take it away at a much quicker effect. So here we have the Consort low temperature electric panel heater, and there's one located in each room, and each panel heater is designed for the room and the building fabric. So these are really, really smart. They actually have got a sensor in them as well. So when we go through the controls of this heater, it'll be determined if someone opens a window and there's a cold draft, and it will shut the heater off. Most importantly, it's really, really important to understand how to use these. At the side here, we've got a panel that comes out. Some people leave them out permanently, some people engage them once they've set them all up. The key to these heaters is to ensure that they're at a reasonable temperature. The ideal temperature for any room is between 18 and 21 degrees ambient temperature. But using these panel heaters with a property with really, really good insulation, I would recommend the lower end of that spectrum between 18 and 20 potentially. And that can be set on the programmer here at the side to make sure the temperature is suitable. If it's set really high, the heater will continuously go on and it'll cost you a lot of money. So we must remember leaving it around 18 to 20 is absolutely key. You can have it on a program setting, so if you go out regularly, you go to work, you see family members, or you don't like the heating on at all in winter, you can put the setting as you want into terms of 7-day timer or 24 hours if you wish. There is another mode on this called backdrop. Now backdrop basically keeps the heater at a minimum temperature to prevent freezing. Although this house is so well insulated, that's very, very unlikely to happen. If you're using the panel heater and you don't want it to be on as much, say for example, we're using 18 to 21 degrees, you can reduce the temperature to 15 degrees as a minimum. So we can turn it down to 15 if you don't like being as warm as such, and that means the heater will not come on unless the room goes below 15 degrees. So it's basically like a thermostat in a heater itself. It picks up the room temperature. What you want that room temperature to be, it will come on as the temperature drops below that. So we can do it all by the temperature settings. With this panel heater, it's really key to leave the isolator turned on at all times and not turn it off, because when you move in, all the temperatures and the settings of this unit are set up for each room and all balanced. If that's turned off and then turned back on again, then all the settings reset. So we'll have to go through all the process again of calibrating this heater for this room for you. So once it's all set up, if you move into the property, the heating engineer goes around each heater, have the conversation how you want it all set up. And like I said, leaving it on is key, but keeping it on a lower temperature is key as well, such as 18 to 20 degrees. So we must remember not to turn the unit off.